Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to introduce you to Brad Chandler, and let me tell you just a little bit about him. Brad is a successful entrepreneur who built a thriving real estate investment company that has flipped over 4,500 houses. With that company now running independently of him, Brad is dedicating his life to his true passion, helping others break free from their past, overcoming limiting beliefs, and creating a life and relationships that they desire and deserve. Through mastering self-love and reprogramming of the mind, Brad transformed his own life, and he's here to share his powerful insights with you. If you're ready to unlock your potential and live a life of true fulfillment, then this episode is just for you. Today, we're going to talk about from flipping homes to flipping mindsets. And two things that I love to talk about. So I absolutely want to welcome Brad Chandler as my guest. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you for having me.
So yes, my husband, whenever I retired in 2018, he thought for sure that I was going to get into flipping houses because I was and am, I guess, a HGTV addict. But I thought I could probably do more by helping flip minds as you are and helping people be stronger leaders and communicators. So who knows, that may someday be in my future, but because I do believe real estate is the best passive income you can ever have.
It's great.
So we always start with two easy questions. The first is just tell everybody, where do you live? Where do you call home right now?
Fairfax, Virginia.
Oh, wow. Very good. So I talked just briefly about your background, but I'd love for you to just go into a little bit more detail about your backstory of, how at some point something caused you to pivot from what you were doing to what you're doing today. So if you could just share a little bit of that journey in the past that kind of drove you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So 3.5 years ago, I was trying to get my son help for anxiety. And I was on a Zoom call with a performance coach. And within the first 5 or 10 minutes, she said, "You have a tic." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, do I have a tic on me?" She said, you blink like crazy when you talk about your childhood. You may have some unprocessed childhood stress or trauma that's actually affecting your son's anxiety. I'm like, no way, not me. Like, I've been a single dad for years and I do everything for my kids. I'm there for him. I take him around the country to play golf. So no way. But okay, if you think so. And she invited me out for a weekend in Park City with her and her husband at the time, this ex-Navy SEAL. And in the course of a weekend, Vicki, really in 3 hours, laying in this bed in an Airbnb bedroom, my life forever changed. And I came home and my life had changed so profoundly. I started looking around at all the people I knew in my networks and my family and my company. And I was like, wow, they're all suffering and struggling for the same exact reason that I was. If I just help myself, I think I might be able to help them. So I just started talking to people and one thing led to another. And these folks were like, "I've never told anyone that before. I've never shared that with anyone. Like, you're really good." And I just became more and more fascinated with the subject. So I went back to Park City and watched this gentleman take another like 8 people in 2 different times through this process again. And then I started studying under other people, and I got certified as a certified hypnotherapist. And I've never looked back. I've never found anything that I love more than the study of the human mind and
Mm.
how things as a child, when our brains are programmed, it's literally like we're downloading software when we're a child, so badly affect us as an adult. And so how simple it is, not simple, easy, non-complex it is to change that. And so yeah, I just can't get enough of it. It had such an effect on my life, and now it's helped, it's had an effect on 100 of my clients' lives that I just can't wait to get to 1,000 and 10,000 people. And one day I want to be able to serve 1 million people somehow.
Awesome. So why do people struggle with changing or stopping that negative behavior? And is it possible that some of them don't even realize that they're doing it?
Yeah, this guy right here.
Mhm.
I didn't think anything was wrong. So what if I lost $9 million in 5 business mistakes? I'm just made silly mistakes, right? So what? I smoke weed every night before I go to bed for a couple of years. I mean, lots of people smoke weed. So what if I drink to feel comfortable at golf tournaments? I know other people that do it. So what if my kids have anxiety? So what if I've had 2 marriages that didn't work out? It was their fault, right? I didn't
Mhm.
even know that I'd put myself in this invisible prison. And to get out of prison, the first thing you have to know is that you're in prison. So to answer your question, this is this is the answer, and this is the answer to why our prisons are full, our hospitals are full, why we're
Yeah.
at war, why there's an obesity epidemic, why there's a divorce rate between 50 and 70%. Here's the answer. And it's the same answer on how you find true freedom in your life, happiness and joy. This negative behavior, and we could spend hours going through what negative behaviors, but we'll just highlight maybe 10 of the most common: depression, anxiety, addiction, working too much, shutting down with your spouse, eating. Any negative problem that you have that you can't solve or stop is your brain's solution to something over here that it thinks is worse. So when you do the deep dive and you get into that subconscious mind where it's hidden and you figure it out, this thing over here generating the negative behavior, Vicki, is always an untruth that was formed between birth and 7 to 10 years old when your brain was being programmed. And it actually helped you at that time. You went through some stressful time, traumatic event, your control was taken from you. So you had to come up with a meaning to survive. Why did this happen to me? That untruth fuels that negative behavior. So what we do is we show the brain that this is untrue, and your brain can't hold two conflicting thoughts. So a mismatch detector goes off, literally ding,
Mhm.
ding, 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 ding. When that happens, Vicki, we rewrite the neural pathway that's holding that untruth. And it's almost like going into an Excel spreadsheet and deleting a cell and putting a different number in. That's what's happening. And they only knew about this. They found out about this around 2000, 2004. They thought that that memory was emblazoned in your mind permanently, but it's not. So we rewrite the new neural pathway with the truth. Guess what? Guess what happens to the negative behavior? It
It
vanishes
goes
and it's gone
away.
forever. Why? Because it has nothing to fuel it. Think about this. No one was
Mhm.
born with depression, anxiety, addiction,
Yeah.
shutting down.
Mhm.
It was something learned. So if we can go back to when it was learned and reverse it, boom, the negative behavior goes away. So why is it so hard? Some people don't know it, and then others know it but don't understand the only way to do it is to go back to the source and rewrite the story.
So whenever you talk about going back to the source and rewriting, um, I'm assuming that for you there was you used the hypnotherapy, right?
I didn't. For my
Situation.
for my transformation, we used some small doses of plant-based medicine. I mean, very, very small, just to cut the adrenal response of when I
Mm-hmm.
talked about it. So I didn't get too hyper or too, yeah. So the answer is no, but
Mm-hmm.
it was very similar. We got to a point where we got into the subconscious mind.
Because I think that there are some people, why they stay stuck there is that they don't do any of those things. You know, they are given antidepressant drugs and all these other things that just put you in a fog mostly, and don't really deal with uncovering the problem.
Yeah. So Western medicine, here's how it goes: diagnose, label you, give you drugs. There's 100 million Americans today on an antidepressant or anti-anxiety drug. They don't need to be on those drugs. What they need to do is they need to figure out what
Why?
caused that. They don't need a band-aid. If your arm is bleeding, you're not going to put a band-aid on there and have the blood, bleed out the side. The most prescribed antidepressant in the last 100 years is Paxil. Do you know what the effectiveness rate of Paxil is?
No.
It's 50%. Do you know what the effectiveness is of a placebo? And that's handing the patient a sugar pill and telling them this is Paxil. Do you know what the success rate of that is?
90%. I don't know.
50%.
Oh, same.
Paxil, the most prescribed thing, has the exact same. So you ask yourself, why is it that 50% of people get better with Paxil? Could it be that their brain is telling them, this doctor in the white coat, I respect him or her, and they're telling me it's going to work, so it's going to work?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Yeah. But if you go into the effect where I knew that wasn't going to work, I see that in my mom all the time. When she comes back from the doctor's office, I knew they didn't know how, I knew they couldn't help me. I knew they couldn't help me.
Yeah. It's Yeah, it's really, really interesting that medication is so. Look, if 100 million people were on anxiety and depression drugs and they were working, hospitalizations for anxiety and depression would be going what? Down or up? They'd be going down, right? But that's not what it shows. We're
Mm-hmm.
putting more people on medication, but more people are being hospitalized for the same thing they're being put on the medication. So
Yeah. What's
if,
it
if,
doing?
if, if you want to know why, anything in this world, just follow the money trail, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you built your real estate business that was thriving, and now you have other people that run it for you, and you have decided to change your path to really do your passion project, if you will, to help others find that personal transformation. Um, what what's the pivotal moment that said to you, what I mean, was it in that hotel or that room where, on the bed, that you said, I had to do this, or did you realize that you could help others, and this was time to just leave what you have and start a new journey?
It was when I came back. I didn't know. I was just so elated. I just felt like I removed these chains that were like just constricting me. I felt this like weight lift off my chest, like, oh my gosh, you're telling me I never have to prove I don't have to prove my worth to anyone, because it was never me who felt unworthy. It was my parents. I just had this such a sense of relief. So I was just like enjoying it. I was emotional. I was crying. And then it was the weeks after I got back where I started talking to people who I knew were suffering. And they were like, wow, like this is really good. And I loved it. I loved talking to them. I loved sharing my story. I loved hearing them and listening to them and processing and being compassionate, empathetic, because a lot of these people haven't had a lot of compassion, empathy in their life, and just telling them, hey, it's not your fault and there's a better life out there. And it just slowly uh started to, like the snowball downhill. I was like, wow, this is great. I love this. And I just kept reading book after book. And I was like, I love this so much. And it appears that I'm pretty good at it. So I just kept going. It's like
Right.
Forrest Gump when he started running and he just
Yeah.
didn't stop.
So when you um, talk about reprogramming the mind and embracing self-love, I think this is so important, especially for combating some of the things we've already discussed, depression and the this anxiety and such. So what are some of the exercises or techniques that you use to really help people rewire their minds, rewrite the limiting beliefs, and really get to that true freedom that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we have a coaching program we take people through, but for those of you who may not want to do a coaching program and just want some more information, all change begins with awareness, Vicki, right? Just like you
Mhm.
said earlier, they may not know it. I didn't know it. So what I did is I developed this self-love quiz for me, for the guy 5 years, the Brad from 5 years ago. Because if we were on this podcast and you were asking me if it was a real estate podcast and you said, Brad, do you love yourself? I'd say, yeah, of course. Do you have high self-esteem? Of course. Are you confident? Yes. Do you care what other people think of you, Brad? I've been like, no way. I don't care. But all of those were a lie. I did care what other people thought. I didn't have high self-esteem. So I created this self-love quiz. So start with that. It's on the website at unlocklimitlessyou.com/quiz. And then we have so that's going to tell you your level of self-love. If your lack of self-love or mild self-love, it tells me that every area of your life is being negatively impacted to some degree. Don't look at that as, oh, woe is me, my life sucks, I don't love myself. Just the opposite. Think, oh my gosh, my life can get so much better.
Yeah.
And then we want to figure out where is this all coming from. You can do that through meditation. You can do that through self-reflection. That's our specialty. We figure out where it's coming from. And then we have lots of great tools on the resources, but one of the ones that stands out is a joy regenerator. Anytime that you feel a negative emotion, Vicki, that means you're in a fight or flight state. When you're in fight or flight, you're not in the present moment. You're worrying about the past and you're worrying about the future, what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. So I want you to get present because trauma takes you out of the present. So many people are 50, 60, 70 years old, and the 6-year-old kid inside them is driving the bus. They need to go tap on that kid's shoulder and say, I got this now. But they can't until they realize where that 6-year-old's pain is coming from. So the joy regenerator, do some deep breathing for a minute, or you don't even have to do it a minute, 3 or 4 deep breaths to get you grounded. And then you ask yourself, what are you feeling? I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling mad. Then give yourself compassion for it. And then ask yourself, where's this coming from? I'll give you my scenario. Every time I feel a negative emotion, I ask where it's coming from. It's going back to the thought, because every emotion, a thought creates an emotion creates an action. It's how we survive for millions of years. So the thought that creates all of my negative emotion is I'm not enough. It's the old Brad. So I ask myself, do I want to stay in a negative state based on the thought that's not true? And the answer is no. So I snap out of it. What used to take me days now takes me minutes or seconds. So those are two of the tools that you can do. In the program, we actually walk you through, we figure out, we do the neural reprogramming, we rewrite, we help you recode your mind and then rewrite the story that you've always wanted and deserved to live the life that you want.
And as you've been talking about all of these things, sometimes we do think that we have no control, we aren't in control, and it must be us, we must be the problem. But sometimes it isn't us. Sometimes it isn't our fault. And so if it isn't your fault, how can you regain that awareness to be able to take your life back into your own hands, to flip that mindset, if you will?
Awesome question. So I believe it's never your fault until you have awareness. So it wasn't my fault for 47 years that I wasn't the best father, husband, and leader I could be. But now that I have the information, it's my responsibility to do something with it. So if you're listening to this podcast, no matter where you are in your life, if things just aren't going so well, or you're like deeply depressed and have thought about suicide, no matter where you are, everything can change and can change faster than you can ever imagine when you're ready for that change. When you wake up and you go, I can't live like this anymore, whether it's me or somebody else, find someone who's not the traditional therapist who's going to talk about, oh, you have anxiety. Let's do some breathing exercises. That's the conscious mind. That is not the subconscious mind that's driving the anxiety. So make sure you find someone who knows how to do that work. And also, if you're going to train with someone, if you're going to coach with someone, don't you want to find someone who's living the life that you want, So many people in the space, in the life coaching space, in the therapy space, they're in bad relationships. They drink too much. They're out of shape. So
Yeah.
if you want to be somebody, do the due diligence to figure out what their life is like, what their relationship. How can they tell you how to have a great relationship with your wife if they're divorced or dating, on 5 dating apps? It's going to be tough.
So true. And I think it is so important as we talk about this, that not only that coach, but the people around you. You need to be aware of the impact of the people around you. Are they feeding this, uh, I guess, fortress or this prison that you're in, to make you not be able to break through the walls? Or are they giving you the support that you need to climb out of it?
Yeah. And if they're not, then you're a human being. If you're an adult human being, you have choices. You may say you don't. I can't leave because my husband's a breadwinner and he's really mean to me, or I got to stick around for the kids. Those are all just lies. You can't suffer if you live in the
Mhm.
truth. Most suffering in this world is self-inflicted. Start living in the truth, and you'll look at that husband of yours who's mean and you've tried everything, and you'll be like, you know what? I can make it on my own. I live in the United States, for God's sakes. Like, we have access
Mhm.
to it's so easy to make money in this country if you're willing to do the things that you need to do to make money. There's a saying someone told me years ago: getting wealthy isn't hard, it's just doing things others aren't willing to do. There's a
Mhm.
million, one of my mentors says, there's like a million reasons to be poor in the United States, but there's not one reason why you should stay poor.
Mhm. Very good. So, uh, if they have both success and especially in the corporate world, I saw this so often where someone had status and success, it appears, and money and all the things that, the person on the other side is saying, I want what they have. But when you get to know them, they're depressed, they're angry, they're frustrated. And so why does that happen so often?
So it's interesting how most people's problems all go back to some version of I'm not enough.
Mm,
When you feel you're not enough, it doesn't matter if you have $0 in your bank account or if tomorrow I were to deposit $10 million in your bank account. The $10 million isn't going to change the way you feel about yourself. And if you call BS on that, go ask Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and Matthew Perry, and the list goes on and on and on. You can't ask them because they're dead. They had all the money, but it didn't matter how much money and fame and private jets they had, they didn't feel enough. So that's the reason, Vicki, is that
mhm.
these folks who are miserable are just feeling like they're not worthy. And it doesn't matter their status, it doesn't matter their net worth. If you feel unworthy, you feel unworthy. There's billionaires that take their lives every year. They're
Yeah.
billionaires are some of the loneliest people. It's just,
So if you start, if you're out there and you're listening and you feel that you are trapped or you feel somewhat stuck, and you know that your limiting beliefs are really holding you back, what would be the first step you would recommend for them to take?
I think, take the self-love quiz, honestly, because that will give you an honest assessment of where you're at.
Mhm.
Um, Likely, if you're really stuck or struggling, you're going to score on one of those on one of the two lower levels. It also, I mean, it's not just, I said it impacts all areas of your life if you lack self-love. Do you know how much business chaos and money I lost because of this feeling of not enough? I calculated that I made 5 business mistakes between 2005 and 2017 that cost me $9 million. I had constant chaos in my business because I had to do more. I had to open more markets. I had to hire more people. One of the $9 million mistakes were I started a Keller Williams team, and my goal
Mm.
was to be the first agent team to ever sell a billion with a B in 1 year. Looking back, I know why, because that would have made me worthy, but it really wouldn't have. I still would have felt unworthy. We lost $1 million doing that. So it was just, I'd go to masterminds. I'd come back. I'd be like, I'm an idiot because Johnny over here is making more money. So let's do these 20 things. And then next meeting would be, let's do these other 20 things. It was just like
Yeah.
constant chaos. So if you're in your business and there's constant chaos, or you can't get over $100,000 a year, no matter what, or you make a couple $100,000 a month and then you lose it all, none of that stuff is your fault. It's mostly being driven by hidden subconscious beliefs. You don't need another mastermind. You don't need another marketing tactic. You don't need a business coach. You need to figure out what is driving the behavior in your head that's not serving you. And I can promise you, it's something that happened decades ago.
Yeah. So whenever you talk about flipping your mindset, so say you did it and you know had sessions with you and they're making progress. What does it take to sustain that though?
I'll use me as an example because I'm holding up my hands now. And if this is like on my left hand is total brokenness and on the right hand is like enlightenment, right? Like you're just a monk, you're in bliss every day. I will help just like I did make the leap. And now I'm holding my hands like an inch apart. I close the gap, right? I'm that much closer to enlightenment. The rest of your life, you get to operate in this gap and trying to close it. But the beautiful thing, Vicki, is this inch gap, how I have my hands right now, it's a beautiful, magnificent, heavenly place to live. So what do I do on a daily basis? Anytime I get triggered, which is every day,
Yeah,
every
I
week
was gonna
goes by,
say.
it's getting lower and lower and lower. I remember the person who took me through my transformation the night before we were eating dinner at this really good steakhouse in Park City. And he said to me, I am on a mission in my life to get to the point where no one or situation can negatively impact me. And frankly, I looked at him and thought to myself, this guy is insane. There's no way he can do that. And here we are 3.5 years later, and I'm closer and closer to it. So every single time that I have a negative emotion, which sometimes, honestly, I'll go an entire day with having no negative emotions. Sometimes I'll have one, sometimes I'll have two. I gamify it and I say to myself, why am I feeling this way? I've got work to do. Similar to if you have a temperature, it's your body's way of saying something is sick. When you feel a negative emotion, unless you're being chased by a lion or someone who's going to mug you, you don't need to feel stressed, tensed, mad, angry in a given day. Those were emotions that were helping us survive when lions were chasing us. If you're feeling those on a regular basis today, it's the universe and your body and your mind saying something ain't right
Yeah.
here. So I look at it and say, okay, I've got some work to do. So what do I do? In my head now, the joy regenerator, I can do it in a second. It's just a couple deep breaths. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? I went to a pickleball clinic this weekend in Richmond. And I got there and the level of play was much lower than they said. So I started to feel frustrated. And for a couple minutes, I was feeling frustrated. I went and talked to the pros and I was like, I don't know if I belong in this group. I think I'm a little better. And I really don't think this level is anywhere where, and I just walked away for a second. I go, it's Richmond, Virginia. It's a beautiful sunny day. I've got the money to be here. I'm meeting with a client tonight who I've never met personally, whose life is radically transformed. We're having dinner. I'm like, why am I feeling this way? And I go, that's the old Brad. I'm not enough. I've got to be with the cool kids in the big group. And I was like, you know what? It's all going to work out. And I released it. And sure enough, a half an hour later, I'd played up and I was in the group. And for the next day and a half, I was in the good group and I got a bunch out of it. That answer, that's a long way of winded answer of a way to answer your question is how do you maintain it? You maintain it by practicing it. How does Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan maintain their basketball shot or the golf shot? They got to practice it. You can't
Yeah.
just in 5 weeks, I'm going to give you the tools. I'm not a therapist who wants you to come back and lay on his couch for, every Tuesday morning at 11 for the next 20 years. No, 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 no. I'm going to give you the tools. But once you have the tools, it's your obligation to practice whenever you have that negative emotion or when your
Yeah.
wife comes to you and you shut down. Don't shut down. Go back to the tools that Brad and Yvonne gave you and say, hey, what do I do here? Okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to identify the emotion. I'm going to give myself compassion. And then I'm going to figure out where did it
Yeah.
come from? And do I need to be here? That's it. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Oh, so true. So very true. Well, time has flown by as I knew it would, and it's time now for me to share my screen. So those of you that have just been listening, you know the drill. You should have been taking notes all along, but go grab a paper and pencil or something to write this information down. If you can't, if you're driving and you have no access to that, remember that everything will be on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please do subscribe. as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com show notes. So the website is unlocklimitlessyou.com. And that is, again, unlocklimitlessyou.com. On Facebook and LinkedIn, his name is how you will find him. On Facebook, it's Brad.Chandler1. In LinkedIn, it's Brad Chandler. Instagram is Unlock Limitless You. YouTube is Brad Chandler Coaching, initial cap. On Twitter or X, it's LB Chandler1. TikTok, it's at Unlock Limitless You. His podcasts can be reached by searching How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. Again, How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. I'm going to turn it over to Brad. He's going to tell you a little bit more about that quiz that he spoke about earlier, as well as some other things that you'll find on his website, resources, links, and where he spends the most time on social media. And again, that podcast, if you want to check out his podcast, is How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. Brad, it's all yours.
Thank you. So unlocklimitlessyou.com/Brad has a recap of all of this plus more. It has my cell phone. And I want to tell you that if you're struggling, if you're suffering, no strings attached, pick up the phone, give me a call, text me, say, Brad, I'm really struggling. Can you help me out? And I'll have a conversation with you. Like I said, no charge, because I really am here on this earth to make an impact. I suffered, I struggled before, and I know that no human being needs to suffer or struggle. You were put here for a massive mission. You were a miracle. The fact that the egg matched up with the sperm, that's a miracle. Despite what anyone's told you, you deserve an abundant life. So if you're struggling or suffering, please go to unlocklimitlessyou.com/Brad, pick up the phone, give me a call, and I'll do the best I can to help you.
You're awesome. And out of the social media, where do you spend the most time?
Facebook.
Facebook. Awesome. So that's just search his name, guys, Brad.Chandler1. And again, that quiz is at unlocklimitlessyou.com/self-love-quiz. Again, unlocklimitlessyou.com/self-love-quiz. Brad, you just talked on so many important things, and I love to just point out the key message that you have on your shirt. No one can love you like you can. And I think that's something that we should really just poster on our bathroom wall mirrors every morning when we wake up, so that we start our day with the right mindset. We are in charge of flipping our mindsets. And despite everything that Brad can say and do, really has to be up to you to make you want to do it, though.
Yeah, stop talking negatively to yourself, because guess what? Your mind doesn't know the difference between you doing it and a complete stranger. So when you talk negatively to yourself, guess what happens? Your brain releases cortisol. Cortisol is an inflammatory. A lot of really smart doctors believe that somewhere between 70 and 90% of most cancers, illnesses, diseases, and autoimmune are from inflammation. So if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. There's nothing bad you can say about yourself. It's all a lie. It's all an untruth. I'm not smart. I'm no good. I'm not enough. It's all a lie. So treat yourself as your best friend. Stop talking negatively, and that will be part of the healing process.
That's right. There's a kids show, I believe it's Trolls, that has a song about being awesomeness. Awesome. And I think that's what everybody should just go around saying. I am awesome. You know, if you say it enough, you'll believe it.
Do you know that a couple years ago in my transformation, people now, when anyone asks me, how am I doing? My response is, I'm awesome. And so many people are like, oh, that's great. Because most people are like, I'm fine. I'm okay. If you live in the United States, you have so much to be grateful for.
Yeah, we do.
Most of us know where our next meal is coming from. We don't have bombs dropping on our head, thankfully. And it's a fairly safe environment given other parts of the world. So just be great. If you're struggling, be grateful.
Yeah, every day. End your day, start your day with gratitude.
Yes.
Oh, well, as always, I want to thank you so much for being a wonderful guest. I learned a lot and agree with many, really with all that you said today
Thank
from
you.
my life experiences and those around me. But I want to just say thanks again and remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.